Okay, good evening, everyone, and thanks very much for joining me in this evening webinar just to go through HPAT, and I'll try and give you a bit more of an insight into it. So hopefully you'll find it informative. I'll try and keep it to about half an hour and then leave 15 minutes at the end for questions. You'll see within Zoom at the top or the bottom of your screen, you'll see a Q&A function. If you post any questions on there, and then I'll just talk through them at the end. And that way then everybody will be able to hear the answers, and hopefully it'll be informative then for everybody. So as I say, I'll just make a start and please make use of the Q&A. So just what we're going to cover, HPAT, what it looks like, the structure, a bit of preparation, and then around results time. So this is the HPAT Ulster website at the minute. It's just literally gone live this past couple of days. You're now able to register for the test. So you'll go to HPAT Ulster, you'll create your account in there, you'll pay the fee, £132 to sit the test, and then you'll get a booklet in there about what the HPAT test is about. It's a PDF, and you'll be able to download that, and it'll give you an insight as to how the test is going to run this year. I'll also go through that as part of this presentation because obviously it's slightly different with COVID restrictions and stuff. So I say I'll go through that, but if you get to that web address there, you'll know you're on the right page. You'll create your account, you'll pay your fee, and go from there. So accessing the test online. So at the time now, we're going to be using this system called proctoring, and all this information will be in the booklet. So you don't need to write any of this down. Don't be panicking or anything at this stage. Where you'll have to download and install the ACER online test application. So that'll be before you'll set the test on that particular day. Then instructions will be given to all candidates. You must install the application on your computer that you intend to set the test on. And you're only allowed one screen. So if you're in at home or whatever and use maybe multiple screens, maybe for gaming or something like that, just ensure that that's all switched off. You'll only be able to use it on the one screen and only on the computer that you download that the application to. It's important, as it says there, you download and install the application prior to the test session, as you'll only be able to set the test without having the application ready to use, as you'll not be able to set the test without having the application ready to use on the day. So you'll have no time to be able to do that on the day and going through that whole download sort of thing and whatever. Whenever you log on to do the test that day, that'll be you sitting to do the test. And then you can check that the installation was successful. Launch the HPAT Ulster test application. You should see the HPAT Ulster test login page. So I say, don't be worrying about that. That is in the booklet that you'll be able to download, and you can download that on the website at the minute. It was just a few wee pointers that I picked out just regarding getting access to the test. So why HPAT? So the HPAT really was brought in a few years back. The university always ran these allied health professional courses, but the grades were always a lot higher. So there were all A grades, say, for example, for students to go on to do them. But what we found then is that students were very academically bright, so they could cope with the demands of the course. But obviously a big part of this course, but also as your onward career, is dealing with people, working with a wide range of people, different backgrounds, different groups and peers and things like that. So really the test is brought in to try and get students used to that side of your career. So it's testing a wider range of skills, and I'll talk about those skills later on, the three areas that the test covers. So that's why I was brought in. It's done by the ACER, which is an Australian company. So they set the test, they administer the test, and then the university only gets involved in it whenever the results are back from ACER. So we have no part in how the results are put together. It's just then when the results then come back to the university that we then get involved at that stage. So the exam date is the 22nd and 23rd of January. And as I said previously, it's £132 to sit the test. Okay, so the HPAT covers the 6 courses that are identified there. So if you're applying for any of those 6 through UCAS, you'll put them down obviously on your UCAS form. You'll go ahead and submit that to UCAS. but you also need to apply to HPAT Ulster to sit the test that I'm going through here this evening. So the test then is really looking at three core areas: your interpersonal skills, your critical reasoning, and your written communication skills. So if you take the role, say, as a physiotherapist within the health service, and this could be a particular consultation with a patient. So the patient comes in to you with symptoms, you record that information. Maybe you need to do an examination with them, you diagnose them, you report that then to the patient, and then you come up with a treatment plan, and then you record that information then on the file. And lots of those different points there, which would be a typical consultation, are relevant to the HPAT test. So how you report that information to a patient, your communication skills, your ability to relate to people. If you're in the health service, a patient comes in to see you, could be an 18-year-old, fully up to speed with their injury, wanting to engage in treatment, knows the language you're talking, you can relate to them, willing to engage in treatment, great, they're straight on to it. Whereas the next patient then that comes in could be 80 years of age, has loads of different ailments, loads of different things going on, can't be bothered engaging in treatment, very hard to relate to. So how you communicate with those two different people will be obviously very different. So that's, again, an element of the HPAT test. Number 7, they're recording the data on the file. Again, as you're in the health service, maybe the next time that patient comes in, maybe it mightn't be you that they're seeing, it might be another physiotherapist. So that physiotherapist needs to be able to pick up that file, know what it is that's wrong with the patient, report that information, know what it is that's been diagnosed, and then start a treatment with that patient. But if they pick up the file and there's notes all over the place, you can't make it, nobody can understand it apart from you, nobody can read it, nobody can understand what's going on, then obviously that's no good. So again, relevant to what an area that the test is going to be covering. So the structure of the test is a 3-hour exam. The first 2 parts are multiple choice, so there are 45 questions, and you then have information to read through. You'll get A, B, C, or D, and obviously only one of those is going to be the correct answer. So you're going to mark on it which one you feel is the correct one. Some you might just feel straight away it's definitely A is your answer, and that's it. Other ones that you're reading, you maybe narrow it down to 2, and therefore then you maybe need to make a guess on some of them. You're just not quite sure, but there is no negative marking, so you're better off just going with an answer that you feel is the correct one. So if you are guessing, obviously by that stage then you have a 1 in 4 chance of getting the right answer. So that's part 1 and part 2. So you'll obviously, you'll know when you finish part 1, your time will be up, that'll be stopped, and then you'll move into paper 2, and then again then you'll get preparation for that, and then you'll start then your time and your 45 questions. Then you're into paper 3, which is your essay part. So you have 2 written essays to do within that time, which is looking at your written communication skills. 2 questions, and then you have an hour again to do that part of the test. Okay, so paper 1 then, your critical reasoning, is looking in the area of general science, so text, diagrams, tables and graphs. So you don't need to revise this. This isn't about your knowledge in science. You don't need to be going off picking up any more information on biology or chemistry, maths, anything. The information you need to be able to answer the questions will be given in the paper. Okay, and then the skills they're looking at are your interpretation skills, your problem solving, your reasoning skills, and it's your ability to analyze the data, interpret the data, test hypotheses, and evaluate the information given. So we look at a previous example. So in this example here, it's about the growing conditions of plants with lime, water, and fertilizer. And then the first question there is, which setup would be best to save setup to see whether lime is good for growth. Okay, so you've given the data there, and then it's how quickly then you can analyze and interpret that data using the different factors, the water, fertilizer, and lime, which is obviously then relevant for the answer. In a previous one again, it's about the solar system. So again, you're given a table of data there. So all the planets, their distance from the sun, their diameter, number of moons, whatever. So you're given all the data in the table. And then the first question relating to that is, which one of the following statements is supported by the data? So again, as I say, you're given the data, it's how quickly you can analyze it and interpret it. So if you have a good head for that kind of thing, you can read it, you can understand it, you're way on answering the questions, and you're getting through your 45 questions, whereas other students, maybe some struggle with that sort of kind of thinking, and it takes them a bit longer. And then maybe at the end, they're maybe guessing a couple of questions, as opposed to maybe another student where they're maybe going back through and they're able to check through their work. So that's really about, you know, your ability to analyze it, the speed of your answers, interpreting the data, and then getting your answer down on the paper. So again, as I say, the information's given there for what you'll be tested on. Then in the paper 2, so it's your interpersonal understanding. So again, this is relevant to what I was saying earlier about how you relate to people, how you can communicate with people of different backgrounds, different socioeconomic groupings, age profiles, things like that. So it's about where you're given a scenario, and that scenario then is on a situation, a narrative, or a dialogue, your analytical skills, your memory skills, and it's your ability then to communicate with people, motivations, behavior, and responses. So if we look at a question here, so again, quite a lengthy paragraph for you to get through. So in this passage, the narrator describes a minor car accident in which 2 young men in another car damaged his side mirror, swore at him, and then drove on. Okay, so you have to read through the paragraphs. Then the first question they're asking you is, the narrator seems to have been most concerned about, and then what is it? Okay, so you have read through it, your understanding, your interpretation of the paragraphs of the comprehension is, and then you start giving your answer. Maybe my interpretation of it is slightly different, and I give another answer, but obviously there's only one right or wrong answer. And again, same section, just a different example is given here. So Mandy, Jane, and Emma are old friends. They went to high school together. They meet up afterwards, and then they're talking through the dialogue here of the 3 of them meeting up. So Emma speaks to Jane of her concerns about what seems to be happening with Mandy. So you're given then again the whole dialogue, and you go through that, and then Jane and Emma disagree about, again, what are those 4 points. So there's only one of them right. Your interpretation, your understanding of the comprehension might be slightly different. I think they're disagreeing about something, you think it's something else, but of course there's only one right or wrong answer. You can do any highlighting, so you maybe on a pen that you have with you can underline some words, you can highlight some words there that you think maybe are relevant down the side of the paper. You can make some notes. You'll only do it on this part of the paper. On the you'll have no other working out or anything, so you'll be able to read through it and maybe make a few notes on what it is that you are thinking. So that's part 2. So again, just a bit of dialogue there to get through. So you're given a bit of reading time at the start. You read through the paragraph, get your head around it, get a good understanding of what it is they're asking, and then you can proceed on then to start answering your questions. And again, how quickly you can do that and understand it obviously differentiates the students, where some students maybe take longer to get their head around it, maybe need to read it more times, as opposed to another student where their memory retention's good, they understand the story, they interpret it right, and then they're off then answering the questions. Okay, so, oh, sorry, it's jumped there. So that's paper 1 and 2, an hour each, 45 questions, multiple choice, so that's that out of the way. Okay, so you're now into paper 3, which is your written communication skills. So it's 30 minutes each. Understanding, first part is understanding graphs and related data in the context of social issues, and then section B is a reflective essay, a social issue testing how ideas are logically constructed and expressed. So examples of this one. So again, task 1 there on the left, you're given crime data for England and Wales over a 10-year period. So you can see how crime's been increasing, how it's been decreasing, social factors for that, risk factors of serious and persistent offending males, So you're given all that data, and then your response then is judged on the quality of your thought and understanding applied, the use of the language to express ideas and information. So there's no right or wrong answer there. You're not penalized for what you actually say. What it is they're looking for your thoughts and ideas, how you logically lay it out, how you express it, what it is you're trying to say, the language you use, and the understanding of the data and how you apply that data. Okay, so there's no right or wrong answer there. It's about using the information and then producing a report based on that information. Another example for task 1, where there's again, it's based on household recycling rates over a 10-year period in Northern Ireland. So again, the graph's clearly showing there household recycling rates are increasing. Miscellaneous facts on recycling, reasons for not recycling. So again, all that information is given, and then your response is judged on the same factors: the quality of your thought and understanding applied, and the use of your language to express ideas and information. Okay, so half an hour, bit of time to start to get your ideas, what it is you're going to be saying, getting your head around the data that you're given, and then you proceed then start producing your report. So that's section 1 of that. Then that's half an hour. Section 2, half an hour. So you're given 3 different quotes. So again, say pick the middle one. So optimism is a faith that leads to achievement. Nothing can be done without hope and confidence. So that's the one that I want to talk about. So I start writing my report based on that. So I believe that. So I believe that optimism is a faith that leads to achievement, and then I start writing about that, my quality of your thoughts, ideas and opinions, the use of the language to express and support your point of view. You maybe, on the other hand, you pick the same one, but you don't believe that optimism is a faith that leads to achievement. Again, perfectly fine. No right or wrong answer. It's just then it's being able to express that with your thoughts, ideas, and opinions, and laying that out in a report. Okay, so that's your written communication skills. Task 1 and task 2, half an hour for each of them. Okay, so test preparation. So there is an information booklet. I say that is on the HPAT Ulster website. You'll get all the information about how it's being conducted this year. And I'll go through that a wee bit more about the online facility for that. So basically, when you register for the exam and you download the software and stuff, then on the day that you're sitting the exam, we're using this additional system called proctoring. And proctoring basically means that there's somebody then comes on to the same time that you're sitting your test. Your computer then, through this proctoring software, there's the video, and then you have to show the examiner the room that you're sitting the test in. So therefore, they're able to see that your desk is clear, you've nothing else sitting about. The software that they use is artificial AI intelligence software in it, so they can read your eyes. So if your eyes constantly always going off the screen and maybe going somewhere else, that would be picked up. Maybe then the proctor would come on and ask, is everything okay? Or, just maybe sussing out what it is you're doing. So it really is about foolproofing the test and making sure that it's the same for everybody. And obviously to try and make sure that nobody is getting any additional help on the day. So that proctor then looks at your room, make sure that obviously you're on the laptop, but you're set up for doing the test. There's nothing else in your room. And then you start then undertaking the 3 hours of the test. Then whenever you finish that test and everybody's done the test, the results then get marked in through Acer. And only then when the results are done that they come back to the university, then do we get involved at that stage. And we only get involved then because, as you know, all those courses they're all funded through the Department of Health. So there's no fees for you to do those courses. So Department of Health then would contact the university and say, we are funding then for 50 physiotherapists, 20 radiographers, 45 speech and language, whatever it is. So that's all then we can allocate for that year. Okay, so we only get funded for 50 physiotherapists. We can only take 50. So it's the top 50 that performed on the test that have applied for physiotherapy then get made their offer. Okay, so they're ranked by total score within the course. We then receive that, as I say, from the Department of Health. You then get the results are uploaded to UCAS, so you'll log in your UCAS track and you'll see if you've been made an offer. Hopefully around the same time, it's not always exactly the same time, but you will receive a letter to your home from ACER, which will break down how you performed in each section of the test, okay, and what your overall scoring was for the test. So to give you an idea of numbers, so for 1920, for radiography, there was 167 had applied for that course for an intake of that year of 58. So it was a couple of years back, it was 48, it went up to 58. Dietetics has stayed around 21 and 77 sat it. OT, 359 sat it for OT for 55 places. Physiotherapy, 363 for 60 places, so that jumped from 50 to 60. Radiotherapy stays the same the past few years, and speech and language has stayed the same as well. Okay, so you might find in some examples that you have applied, say, for physiotherapy, and you also have applied for speech and language therapy, but you get an offer for physiotherapy, but you don't get an offer for speech and language therapy, even though you've obviously sat the one test. And that's because of the number of students that have sat the test and then the number of places that are available on that course. So maybe within physiotherapy, you have fallen within the top 60, so you get your offer from the university, but for speech and language, you don't fall within the top 23, so therefore you don't get your offer for that. Okay, so that's basically the difference there. On some occasions that students apply for multiple courses at the university, and then they may receive an offer for one but don't receive it for another. Okay, so HPAT Ulster is where you'll go to register for the test, pay that fee. I just want to also clarify with you that those tests and stuff that I ran through there is all the information that is available. Don't be feeling that other schools or other colleges have a whole bank of these tests and they're able to give it out to their students and they're working through it and they're maybe at a better advantage than you. The tests that I've gone through are the only ones that the university has. So our admissions team, the department, we have no more of these tests. So don't, as I say, don't feel that you're missing out on anything. And I think that's more fair. As I say, ACER conduct a test, they do the test, they have given us these examples, and that is it. So if you've gone searching on Google and you're getting no results back on example tests, that'll be the reason why. Okay, so don't, as I say, don't feel that you're missing out. There are private organisations that say that they prepare students for the HPAT test. Again, I just want to make you aware they have no connection to Ulster University, they have no connection to ACER. So we have no idea where they get their information from, if the tests are relevant, if the tests are accurate. We have no data to say that students that do those additional preparation aren't any better prepared for the tests than students that don't, and actually if they pass the tests or don't. Okay, so again, I do know they can be very costly. They can take place over a weekend, but don't feel that you need to do it. They have no connection to the university and they'll have no bearing on you getting on to do your course or not on to your course. Okay. And again, just want to clarify, it is all slightly different than a written examination that has been done in the past. But all those notes in terms of being able to log on, accessing the system, accessing the test, and how it's conducted on the day is all on the website. Okay, so don't be panicking, and registration is only open this week, so don't feel that you're behind. You have then up until the 8th of January to register for the test, and then by 5 o'clock on that day, and then I think there's a couple of days afterwards where there's a window. I think it's up until the 11th where you can still apply but you're late, and then you have to pay an additional fee to do the test. Okay, so there's a few questions in there, so I'll just ask them. Jennifer, thanks for your question. So